being the villain sucked, and I earned that reputation. I have no issue with that, but I think people sometimes can't separate athletes from the person.
Without having the contrast of Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark's popularity would not be what it is today.
Ooh. I definitely feel like their storylines have helped both of them.
It's been a kind of a crazy year. What are you doing to work on yourself right now?
That's a great fucking question, Joy. Damn you.
All right, very excited to have my friend Matt Barnes on Too Personal. Of course, you can catch him on All the Smoke with his co-host Steven Jackson. Matt, welcome to Too Personal.
Thank you for having me.
I will run through all of your NBA credentials, but I think everybody knows.
Yeah, that's just all. We don't need to talk about that no more.
I want to start with what I did to piss everybody off on the internet recently. And I'm going to see if I can drag you into it because I haven't heard your take on this yet. Okay. I think you know where I'm going potentially. Well, I don't know. I be pissing people off all the time. So I've been saying this since the jump, like since the very beginning, since the very first incidents at the NCAA championship game with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. I said this. So I have been standing on this since the inception of this moment. Okay. But my point of view on the situation is that without having the contrast of Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark's popularity would not be what it is today. Ooh. Now, what people are confusing or really just planting into my statement is that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are the same type of player, that they play at the same level right now, that I'm saying that Angel Reese, I don't know, like somehow it's an attack on Caitlin Clark. But what people are not understanding what I'm saying is the same thing happened in the NBA with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, which I also said. And I also asked Magic Johnson about it, and he agreed with me. Not that any of you know more about basketball than Magic Johnson, but the point is it was a moment. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was a moment that created a villain, whether asked for or not, in Angel Reese. Mm-hmm. And it upset people that they'll then started paying attention to Caitlin Clark and having a point of view on Caitlin Clark. In no way am I saying that Caitlin Clark would not ever still be a great player, that she would not bring some attention to the WNBA, but I have lived all 38 years of my life on this planet not listening to random mediocre men talk about the WNBA or giving a fuck about the WNBA or women's basketball. I've also worked for 9 years on network television, knowing exactly what the topics are that we discuss every fucking day. Yep. And y'all were not talking about women's basketball before this happened. And this can actually be quantified. If someone wants to take the time to go and look up what all the coverage was, it wasn't before that happened. So do you agree with me? Am I right?
I definitely feel like their storylines have helped both of them.
Yes, I agree.
Their storylines have also helped the WNBA.
I agree.
I think what the NBA is missing these days is it's such a young league. These kids are young. It's one and done, a lot of overseas influx. So you don't know these people's journeys. I think what people love or love and appreciate and respect or hate at the same time is we got a chance to see these women the last, 4 years now, if we're going back to college, 5 years, build up this rivalry. Angel getting a championship and putting the finger in her face, and then Caitlin getting, going the following year. And then both these women, to me, I feel were respectfully as brands bigger than the W when they got there.
Yep. I would agree with that also.
So I definitely see where you're coming from when you say that I think their storyline played into the, I don't even want to say hype because they both deserve what's going on as far as, praise for their game. They definitely just added to each other's
to the fame.
Growth, fame, growth, all that.
It's really about, I don't even know why this is controversial. Like, this is a fact. Mm-hmm. Caitlin Clark is an unbelievable player.
Incredible.
There have been a lot of incredible players, more accomplished college players when you're talking about team success than her that have entered the WNBA. And people were not barking and spitting and flipping out on the internet about them.
Yeah.
when there is a rivalry that is naturally created, as there was in the NCAA championship game, that allows for people who aren't following the sport to have a point of view and an opinion on not just the sport, but also the players, and someone to root against, that amplifies the brand. I don't even know. It's like when people are mad at me, I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck you're mad about. That's literally what happened.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying something. I'm saying what happened.
And that's not a knock at either player because, you know, they're completely, as you pointed out, they're completely different players. I think Caitlin has benefited from the Steph Curry effect. I think that's why there's a huge hype around what she's able to do because we haven't seen someone shoot the ball with the consistency and from the range that she's been shooting with, and that always excites people the same way it excited people when Steph came into the NBA. And then Angel in her own right, what is she, player of the week right now? With 5 straight games of over 15 rebounds, and she's an all-star, and she's doing it in her own way. So, I don't think it's a knock on either player. I think it's great for both of them. What I will say is that the common person that has somewhat become a fan or a hater or just someone who wants to troll, there has been some racial tension with the fan base that has got behind Caitlin. And that's not saying that she has anything to do with it because she's dispelled it and gave a ton of people props along the way. But there's just casual people who have an opinion now that I feel like kind of brings some negative energy. But I feel like when you grow, you don't have to get to pick and choose what kind of attention you get. You know, all the attention comes. To me, it's outside of the relationship. All the attention is good because at the end of the day, it's growing the game. These women are starting to get recognized more, and to your point, you know, we were never showing any kind of WNBA love on any of the sports shows before these two women came into the game. So, I think they've both been great for the game. I think they're both growing the game and really starting to tune people in who's been watching or starting to watch to see how much other talent is in the league. There's a ton of other talent in the league. I mean, I love what Paige is doing. Paige is kind of coming in and taking the league by storm and doing her thing too. But, you know, there's a ton of talented women in this game. And I love that, again, the conversation is around these women because they deserve it. You know, I hope they continue to grow and get everything they're looking for. I know they're at the bargaining table right now, but I like where the game is at. I've always been a W fan, but I did start paying attention more when these two women came to the league.
Yeah, because it's interesting. And you know all about rivalries and what that does, for the game.
Absolutely.
You talk about sports on your show. You interview athletes. You lived it. You lived one of the more notorious moments.
Yeah, I actually stood up for Angel at one point because it's hard being the bad guy or the villain when you're not a bad person. You know what I mean? And I think I had to learn that kind of the hard way. And it was funny because it was with the twins. When the twins were little, you know, my last handful of years, they got to move around with me and come to games and travel. And they, like, after the Kobe shit, I was public enemy number one for a while, even though we ended up teaming up the following year. But, you know, we were going on the road, and I forgot where we were at. We were at some East Coast trip, and the twins were on the trip. And after the game, they're like, "Daddy, well, how come when they announced your name, everyone booed?" How do I explain this to them? And I'm thinking, like, I was just, how can I be creative? And they liked wrestling at the time. They were maybe 6 years old. And I'm like, Daddy's like the Undertaker. And every time I go out there, I have to guard the best player, and that's like Hulk Hogan. So they always want to see Hulk Hogan do well, but then the Undertaker comes and kind of fucks shit up. You know what I mean? So they're booing me because they respect me and they don't like the work I do. Like, oh, do you wrestle now too? I was like, no, I don't wrestle, but that's kind of the persona.
Like, when do you pop out of the coffin?
Right. But it's you know, it was something I had to learn and adapt to because being the villain sucks. You know what I mean? And I earned that reputation. I have no issue with that. But I think when people sometimes can't separate athletes from the person. So I know Angel's probably gone through an emotional roller coaster. She faces a lot of unwanted BS, and then she brings some on herself, similar to what I did. But again, I think she's making a ton of money. Caitlin's making a ton of money. They're all over everything, and they're helping the game grow at the end of the day, which I think is great.
How do you feel about where the NBA is right now? Because it's in an interesting space to me. The finals did well, despite it being too.
I didn't look at the numbers. How were the viewership? Was
yeah,
okay?
they did well.
Okay.
They did well. It was obviously two really small markets.
Teams, yeah.
And we haven't had a repeat champion in 7 years now. And obviously, we're coming to the end of an era. LeBron is probably in his last year. Chris Paul just said that he is retiring after this year.
Mm-hmm.
Steph is still, Steph, but he's getting up there as well.
KD.
KD.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's the young boys' time.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting space. And it's interesting you brought up villains because I don't think there's any villains.
No.
And I think Ant is like maybe the closest to that. And he's
a
not
different kind of villain.
He's not really.
Yeah.
The physicality is kind of coming back in the game. So I think that at least for this
Playoffs, it was.
this playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, because when I think of your era of basketball, it was not as insane as like the 90s where they're just like throwing elbows down the lane.
There was definitely some physicality, yeah.
But it was a healthy physicality and there were real rivalries. Do you think we ever get back to that? And how do you think it affects the game if we don't?
Well, I think, it kind of started off how I spoke earlier is that the league is so young now. I remember when I came in the league in 02, there was 38, 39, 40-year-olds smoking cigarettes in the locker room. Whether they played or not, it didn't matter. They were bridges
They were not smoking cigarettes in the locker room.
Some of these body was smoking cigarettes in the locker room. But these older dudes were, they were OGs. They were helping us, avoid the wrong kind of women, helping us get our first suits, helping us understand the game, with women to stay away from. They were just like real OGs. The game doesn't have that no more. The game is so young now that a lot of this league is based off potential, and I feel like the fact that similar to the women's game, there's no storylines for any of these guys really. There's no rivalry for any of these guys coming into one because they bounce around too much. Another reason is they're not going to college that long, and then another reason is there's again an influx of European players. So we don't really know. And I feel like I'm obviously a basketball head, and there's times even in the finals or in the playoffs, I'm like, yo, who is that? He's killing. And it's just like I played in the league for 15 years, and I still don't know some of these guys. So I can only imagine like more of a casual fan just not really grasping the drama, grasping the storylines, or kind of really knowing who is who. It's funny, I was sitting at Amazon last week and we were talking about just this. It's just like, how can they get behind the scenes and start to kind of really peel the layers back of some of these players? Obviously, we get some sort of sense of who these young players are on Instagram, but I think bringing an old school show like Inside the NBA, was that with Ahmad Rashad back in the day? What was that? Inside Stuff? Something, a newer version of being able to understand who these young players are so people can start rooting for them and understanding them a little bit. But I think to your point, we are at a passing of the guard. I think we saw it in this playoffs. All these young teams handed these older guys, an early vacation slip and two young teams played in the finals, and Shea had one of the best years of, that a guard's had in the game. So I don't know if I don't think there's a clear-cut face. I think it was MJ for, Magic and Bird, and then it was MJ, and then it was Kobe and Shaq, and Bronze carried the torch. I don't know if there's an American player you can really hang your hat on right now. I think there's a ton of young, talented players overall, whether it be a Shea or Jokic or Embiid Giannis and Tatum and Booker. But I don't think there's a clear-cut like, hey, I don't think there's a clear cut like, hey, this is my league right now. So it's going to be interesting kind of just this next 2 or 3 years to see if there's any rivalries that can come about or anybody that kind of steals that crown as kind of like the next guy to carry the torch.
Yeah, I think it's hard when you don't have any, meat. It's like all the marrow's been taken out of the bone, And part of it I think is also social media. Because when you get one good cooking on social media, you don't really want to deal with it again unless you're truly built for that. And, it's not the easiest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if, part of stepping out and showing people who you are and being, authentic and open could lead you to being in that space. And then is it worth it to try and lose sponsorships, like the amount of money that these guys are making? It's like, man, no, let somebody else be the villain. Why do I got to be the one that gets cooked and,
it's
made fun of? And
it's a different world. Like, not to cut you off, like I've caught social media kind of started popping 11, 12, 13-ish, and I came in the league in 02, So I kind of caught the tail end of it, but I couldn't imagine having kids in this space and then seeing what, Kevin Durant, how he responds to trolls and how other people, it's just, It's a lot.
I mean, look at like
It's a lot.
Ja and Zion. Like
It's a lot to
these guys
handle.
must be looking at this like,
Yeah.
ain't no way. I'm gonna
Yeah.
mind my business,
Yeah.
make this money.
And mental health is important too, because everyone said, "Oh, you make so much money, turn the other cheek or ignore it." But it's hard when people are just constantly attacking you, whether they're right or wrong. It's just when a lot of people are doing anything toward you, like turn the other. That shit don't work. Like I remember asking Kobe, is there one critique that stood out or disrespect? And he literally said, like, I heard all of it, and it all hurt. That's cold. So I mean, the rest of us don't stand a chance. You know, what I mean, that's one of the
Right.
most mentally tough motherfuckers that ever played the game. So that stuff is hard to do, and I credit these guys for being able to handle it because yeah, obviously a lot of money comes with this life and job, but we're still normal people. We just we get paid a crazy amount of money for our profession, but we're still human at the end of the day, and we go through ups and downs and breakups and kids and sick and all kinds of other shit, but they expect because we make so much money or they make so much money that they're supposed to be superhuman, and they're not. So
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I've never looked at it that maybe because of my brother. I don't really look at it that way. But I also am just like a pull up type of person. I know you are. So I just assume that I'm gonna see the person that I'm talking about, and I better be able to say exactly what I said before
or
when
fight.
I
Be
see this
able
person,
to,
or
yeah.
fight. So to me, it's like that is just a mentality, and that doesn't exist on the internet. So I do not blame any of these guys. I don't blame any celebrity, anyone for trying to avoid that and just make money. Because like, fuck all that.
Yeah.
Fuck all that. You don't have to deal with that if you don't want to,
Nope.
because it's a miserable experience.
Mhm.
But the authentic stuff is hard to get to, and you gotta have that unless you are just a naturally polarizing person. So that's the thing that's so interesting to me about LeBron, because LeBron is not actually a villain
No.
at all.
Mm-mm.
He's just a naturally polarizing figure, and it's so fascinating. He doesn't have scandals. He takes care of his people, his family, his businesses. He's represented the league. He's been in the spotlight since he was 16 years old, came up in the social media era. Like, it is incredible to me how polarizing he is.
Yeah. Incredible. Special. I mean, to think a superstar in his caliber that with everything you've listed, like we can name
I think he's
him.
the greatest superstar in the history of
I think
entertainment.
he's carried the torch better than anyone could ever imagine, to be able to live up to the hype and exceed expectation and do it on a clean path. And like you said, I mean, sports is synonymous with scandal. You know what I mean? And
He's never
unfortunately,
crashed out once.
not one. And but you're going into your 22 or 23, but this kid's been a star since what 15 years old. Like we don't hear shit but good things about him, and I think even with that said, that's going to make some people dislike him and try to make him a villain because like I know this motherfucker ain't perfect. I know he's doing, but I mean he's been a model citizen, and I wouldn't disagree with you. I think he's been the greatest superstar we've ever seen.
Not that you would know anything about this, because I don't understand this lifestyle either, but what I'm trying to find a better way to word it. But like, why do we feel the need to break people down? Like, why can't people be great?
Because I think it's insecurities in the people that are breaking the other people down's life. Jealousy, hate, and society. Society is crazy right now. The norm is the norm. There's a lot of people who are living paycheck to paycheck. So anytime you're doing something great, it's going to come with the territory, unfortunately. But to me, I think Joy, I don't know when it shifted, but it used to be, even sports reporting used to be just not necessarily always a celebration, but we reported on just the game. Now we report on the people and their lifestyle and all the other shit that doesn't necessarily matter about the game. And then on social media, you're seeing athletes have a ton of money and doing a ton of dope shit. And it's just like, man, well, fuck that. I ain't got that. So, you know what I mean? So I just think when you see hate is more about the person doing the hating than the person being hated on, I feel like. And I feel like you're only getting hated on if you do some shit. So if you're not doing shit, they're not going to be hating on you. So, you got to kind of take it in stride. And again, that's something I had to learn later. I mean, I'm thinking I'm 8 years removed from the NBA and I'm still getting shit talked to me about the way I played or how I move now, or and it's just like, damn, really? You know what I mean? Like really, and it's still, and it's just there. And
It
again,
really is a
yeah,
lifestyle.
it's crazy. And I mean, I was a role player. You know, I knew exactly who I was during this game, so I couldn't imagine what a superstar or up and coming superstar has to face on a daily basis. It's just like you have to protect your mental health because everywhere you look, I mean, this is the social media is our news, is everyone's news now, and you can't. I guarantee, if you're a athlete or celebrity entertainer, you, it would take you less than 2 minutes to find someone talking negative to you on one of your feeds, and it's just like, bro.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't say that shit to my face, so why are you saying it now?
What do you tell your sons?
Be prepared. Be prepared. Take it as a grain of salt. And what I said, the only reason why they're hating on you is because you're doing something right. And just be prepared. And I really, literally fear that, Joy. It's funny you asked that because they're 16 now. And someone posted something the other day, and I think it's still on my stories. Protect your kids because you never know who hates them because of who you are. And I'm just like, damn, that's deep. You know what I mean? And again, I was the villain. So that doesn't, and by no means my kids they got a lot of me in them, but they're good private school, gated community kids. You know what I mean? They didn't grow up how I grew up. They don't have the mentality. They don't have to fight for survival like I had to, but they're still dogs. But it's just like, you have to start spoon feeding them what is coming. And I've been telling them since I started coaching them. I retired in 17. I started coaching them that summer. And I just, some people are gonna love you for who you are and what you're about, and the fact that you're my son. And some people are gonna hate you for the same reasons. So you just have to be prepared and take the good with the bad and understand that you have a goal and a mission, and you have to lock in on that.
Is it hard raising sons right now? Because there's just a lot going on in society. There's a lot of different distractions. Obviously, it's a different time, like you said. They're not growing up fighting for their lives. They're growing up in the internet era. They're growing up in a more convenient time. Things are in some way easier and more accessible. And, it's easy to fall. There's a bit of a focus on young men right now because they're getting sucked into these different portals on the internet that are just like melting their brains. And so are you worried about that? Is it hard?
I don't necessarily worry. I mean, everything you said is right. It's a crazy time to be alive and a crazy time to be a team, but I don't worry about that because I'm present. You know what I mean? So what I'm feeding them, and I've been feeding them game as long as they can understand it. Like we started talking real talk at 6, 7, 8, and I found that kind of joking with them, whether I'm joking about girls or kissing or, one time they caught me smoking down by the pool. I think when they were like 7, I put them to sleep, and they saw Daddy smoking down by the pool. And the next day, they're, Daddy, you smoke cigarettes, it's gonna mess your lungs up. I'm like, damn, do I lie to him or I tell him it was a joint? And so I told him like, hey, listen, Daddy's not a big drinker. He doesn't take pills, but my back and my knees and my ankles hurt from playing. So when I smoke a joint, it takes all the pain away and it helps me sleep. And then Carter, the younger twin's like, well, Dad, I just rolled my ankle. When can I smoke? I'm like, oh shit. But again, I was kind of planting those seeds at a young age.
Yeah.
So, when it came time, and they're 16 now, when it came time for them to start having sex, like they came to me. And I'm like, damn, have you told your mom? Like, no, tell mom that. You know what I mean? But I think that I built such a rapport and an open line of communication with them that they felt comfortable enough to like, hey, Dad, we're taking that step now. And I felt really proud as a dad because, the alternative to them is hiding, sneaking around, getting caught, having unprotected sex. So I'm just like, damn, okay, well, at least I've done a good job that they feel like they can come to me and tell me. And, they're 16. So, they know what I do. They know I'm a cannabis consumer, and they'll see me drink every once in a while with social gatherings. So they're not, they're not naive to the fact. And I'm not one of those, hey, you better not do this, you better not do that. Mine is just, let's have a conversation. If you guys want to smoke, let me smoke with you first. Let me show you how it is, so you know how to act if you happen to be smoke when you're in public, or if if you're tempted to have a drink, let's sit down and have a drink, so you know how it hits you before you're behind a wheel or before you're out at a party. So I'm just one of those kind of, I'd rather be proactive than reactive, and I also don't want to be too strict because I grew up with kids that were super strict, and as soon as they got a little bit of freedom, they went nuts. So again, it's kind of that fine line of discipline, understanding, respect, morals, integrity, all that kind of shit. But you also have to understand that this is a whole different world they're living in because of social media and the internet. So you kind of have to meet them halfway. And I've been super lucky that, my kids are down to earth and humble and polite and, and they do their little thing and they kind of stay out the way. So to answer your question, it is a crazy time to raise kids. And if I didn't have them as much as I had them, I would worry. But I'm very present in all 4 of my sons' lives, so I'm not necessarily worried about that.
Do you think that having a male mentor right now or having male figures, like positive male figures, is important, because obviously like having men in your life and male mentors has always been important, but there's so much access to dumb shit
Yes.
now that it's almost like more important.
Yeah. I think more important than ever. One thing I will say is I feel like this generation of athletes, the generation I played in, the generation that is kind of just finishing up, it came through in the 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. I think we're more present fathers. You know what I mean? I think there was a narrative about guys in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s of having a bunch of kids with a bunch of different women, and that shit still happens. Don't get me wrong, but the one thing I do love is I coach my kids, and every time I go to a tournament, it's like a reunion with
Mm.
so many dudes I played with or against that played before me that are currently playing, that are there coaching or supporting their kids and or having programs as a whole. So I definitely think it's more important than ever, because there is so much bullshit and lies and sugarcoating and you know a lot of wild shit going on, that you do need male representation. I think boys and girls both coming up need solid male figures, whether it's a father, stepfather, a trusted family friend. You need a man's point of view, along with the mom's point of view, but particularly a man's point of view, because there's just a lot of foul shit going on these days.
There truly is. I feel like it's also an epidemic of cowards.
Oh man.
And I don't think we use that word enough. We lost that recipe. We need to run that back.
Yeah. Cowards, corny, goofballs, goofies. It's weird because you don't have to be held accountable for what you say now.
Yeah.
Which is the weakest shit ever to me. What did Mike Tyson say? People feel too comfortable talking shit without getting punched in the mouth these days, because you used to have to say it to my face. You know what I mean? You remember when you're little, say it to my face. You know what I mean? That's how shit used to go down. And now, you can hop on the internet and say some wild shit and then hopefully never have to run into that person. So it's just like there's no accountability. There's a ton of cowards. Everyone doesn't deserve a voice. And we've given everyone a voice with social media. So it's definitely a wild time.
How are you handling? I know that you you're aware of everything that's going on politically, and I see you on social media speaking out. Obviously, we're here in LA. There's a lot of crazy shit going on. How are you handling everything that's happening?
It's crazy. It's unfortunate. Shout out to Mayor Bass and Gavin Newsom today for shutting down what they were trying to do at MacArthur Park. It's just a crazy time. I think you never want to mix politics and sports, but politics is such a heavy part of everyone's life now.
I adamantly disagree with that concept.
That's what I agree. I think they go hand in
I don't
hand.
even know why it makes sense. Sports and politics have always gone hand in hand. Who is Muhammad Ali? Who is Jackie Robinson?
All these people.
Who is Jesse Owens? Who is Arthur Ashe? There's always been a tie to social activism and sports. It's not new.
Nope.
It's always been necessary. It is a silly, stupid concept. I don't even like entertaining it. It just doesn't historically make sense. I don't have conversations that don't make any sense. Historically, that doesn't make sense.
Obviously, I've never listened to that shit, because just as you said, I'm on there talking my shit. I'm on here, I got a group, P68, that we do all kinds of political stuff, and I've been in the streets. I've helped pass bills at the state capitol, so I'm very active in understanding that my voice is for a lot of those who don't have a voice. My voice is for what are you talking about? You made money, but family doesn't make the money I make, or friends haven't made the money I make, so I need to.
That doesn't matter anyway. You pay taxes, right? You have to follow the laws of this country.
Same shit.
Do you have to stop at stop signs?
I do
Do you have to register your car?
We put our pants on the same way. We go to the bathroom the same.
It doesn't it's the idea that if you play sports or that you
shouldn't
have money, that you don't have, that politics doesn't apply to you. Everything in our life is politics. Signing a lease for your apartment is politics. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You shouldn't apply. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, back to your original question, I just think we're in just such a terrible time now, because politics just picking the best candidate, but now there's a line in the sand. And to me, I'm someone who faced a lot of racism growing up. Nearly had my high school burned down by the KKK. So anyone who represents any type of hate, I can't get down. I don't care how much good you could do or could possibly do or you have in mind. Once you represent hate, I can't get down with that. And I just feel like with this administration represents so much hate that there's just I can't get through the hate to see if they're actually doing anything right, because the hate is more blatant than it's ever been. The disrespect, the people, the inferior like white people thinking they're better than other people, and it's just crazy right now what they're doing to our Mexican brothers and sisters out here, and particularly in LA, and how important that community is. I mean, and my kids are having, the twins are having, the twins' mom is Mexican, you know what I mean? So I'm always down for, black and brown unity, and I'm hoping that all this shit that the Mexican community is going through, and obviously what the black community continues to go through, will bring us together. Because I think more than we're the majority now, we're definitely not the minority, but we can't come together, and I think that's what continues to hold us back. And we saw what us not coming together did in this past election. So I mean, I don't want to get too deep down the political hole, but
We can go all the way down. I don't mind.
I
just
think we need to come together.
I think it has a lot to do with proximity to whiteness.
Mm. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I feel you.
Yeah, because black women overwhelmingly in a majority don't ever forget that there is no such thing as proximity to whiteness. There just is or there is not.
Period.
And of course, not all white people are evil. Not all white people hate black people. Not all white people are racist.
And not to cut you off, keep your thought. It's on the flip side, every race and ethnicity have racist people in it. So it's definitely not just one, but it's heavy right now.
Yeah. But historically, in this country, the white racism has colonized this land from the jump, and is the issue, is the festering boil of this particular country's issue. And one thing I cannot do in conversations is whataboutism. Like, well, what about, this country? I don't live in that fucking country.
Stick to the point.
I don't live in that fucking country. You want to worry about them? Worry about them. I'm talking about this country right now, our problems where I live that affect my family and me. We can solve other people's problems after we have this conversation. But the whataboutism always creates this spin-off thing, what is just a redirect from, it's just changing the subject. And we need to stay on subject.
Yep.
So not all white people are evil, but when we're talking about people who have true hate or racism, or have been convinced to believe that someone who doesn't look like them is the cause and root of their problems, which is fucking at its core literal insanity. It is your brain is not functioning properly. It makes no fucking sense.
Or taken away from them is somehow going to help you.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. It never has made any sense. It's just a way to control people. But that is never going to be you. Like, white people who think like that do not care if you look like them, if you speak their language, if you work for them. Like, it's just not what it is. So proximity to whiteness is such a fucking issue, and to me it's so weird, and it was the root of this election.
Yeah, no, I would agree 100%. And to me, the people who hate, if you sat them down in a room and said, "Hey, why do you hate?" I bet you they couldn't give you no real reason.
Well, those people can barely spell, so
right. But I even think, I mean, the poor white trash, that too. But I also think, like, there's people higher up in government and wealthy people, and you see all these billionaires and companies that donated to the current president. You know what I mean? So
well, those people to me hate for profit.
That's still hate, though.
It is hate, but that's they can't explain it. It's greed.
Yeah, but so I mean, to me, at the same time, hate is hate, and the levels of hate and the way it's really affecting people's lives. And again, I guarantee 95% of the people who hate, if we sat them down, they could get to the root of why they hate. They just hate to hate, or they hate because they're following people, or they've been told to hate. So it's just like we have too many followers in this country, whether it be good or bad. Like, people just follow weird shit instead of like really being like, there's a ton of people that support Donald Trump right now that know this motherfucker is tripping right now. But who is man or woman enough to stand up and say it? You know what I mean? So it's just like,
well, then that's admitting that you're wrong, which is something that nobody likes to do. But then after you admit you're wrong, you then have to take steps to fix it. Then you have to move off of your opinion. You have to move off of your beliefs. And most people are just not going to do that. They have either too much pride, or there's too much that they have to change about themselves.
Looking in that mirror.
Yeah, right. To then move in any kind of direction. And the people that really honestly drive me the most insane, who are like, there's no good candidate. There never was a perfect
No.
candidate. This whole idea of polarization in politics, well, like this person, I'm not going to vote for this person because I don't agree with this one thing that they're involved in. What? That's how you vote? Or you won't vote at all because this was one candidate's party or whatever was associated with something. That's not how politics work.
Mm-mm.
It's become very frustrating for me to even have conversations with people, and I'm trying not to like completely tap out because I know that's the point, is like
Yeah, that's what they want.
normalization.
Yep.
So I'm really trying to avoid it, but it's obviously exhausting to every day be online, see all the terrible things that are happening, seeing the repercussions of all these things, see how people continue to stand 10 toes down with the insanity.
Right.
To me, I'm like, people have to actually experience the pain of their decisions.
Yeah, I mean, but your vote matters. Your vote has consequences, and there's a lot of red states now that are like, damn, what's going on? Look at Texas. You know, damn, what's
Awful.
going on? And who deployed to Texas? Mexico deployed to Texas to help people out. So it's just like it's so ass backwards, but at the same time, to your point, we can't tap out because that's what they want. But we got to hope at some point that common sense is starts becoming more common in people, and they have to see what this divisiveness. And I think race is just used an excuse to obviously economically hold other people back. You know what I mean? And they get you to think like, hey, this gets you to think one way and paint this beautiful picture, and then at the end of the day, it ends up hurting you too. So it's just like I think for Black and brown people, politics is never. This is not something we just. Majority of us didn't discuss this at our dinner table. We weren't made to have a voice or a footprint in this space. So I think we have to go above and beyond and prepare ourselves and read and do our due diligence. And I think as a community, as a culture, we only read headlines. And I'm guilty of it sometimes, but when it comes to this policy and politics, you really have to read the fine print and understand the dynamic and the power of your vote. That's why I say if the Black and brown people came together, it'd be a wrap. I mean, we came together for Biden, and they thought we cheated. That's how powerful when we come together and unified we are. So I'm hoping that we learn from this next 4 years and we understand how important coming together is, and we come together.
It's been a kind of a crazy year. What are you doing to work on yourself right now?
That's a great fucking question, Joy. Damn you. Man, I just, obviously I went through another public separation. And it really hit home from a standpoint of like, motherfucker, you're 45, you gotta wake up. You gotta stop. And it's weird for me because not weird, but I'm someone who's very aware. I'm someone who's very outspoken. I'm someone who's a great communicator, but I think that's all stuff that I lacked in my relationship. So now understanding that being able to look in the mirror and being able to see clearly and being able to put the bullshit to the side, just a lot of me time, a lot of reading. I've vowed to make a stronger connection to God. So I've been going to church. I've been reading the Bible. I've been reading spiritual laws and all kinds of stuff. So just kind of more self-aware. I felt like counseling hasn't helped. I've had a few different kinds of counseling and that never helped. But I feel like I've never had a strong relationship with God. I wasn't raised in a my pops was in the streets selling drugs, and we were a football family. Probably similarly to you. Like Sundays was for football, so I never grew up or went to church at all. So that's something this year because of my split happened, but it was something that I was thinking about heavy. It was so weird. I kept having so many people like random conversations, God this, God that, or do you want to come to church? And I'm just like, why are all these conversations happening right now? But I felt it was kind of him calling me, and I was open to listen. And I think my biggest self improvement right now is just building a stronger relationship with God, being very present with my sons because I have 4 boys, I have 16-year-old twins, a 6-year-old and a 10-month-old. So just being very present. My co-parent with both my exes is going really well. So keep my fingers crossed it stays that way. And yeah, like I said, I just think for me as a man, and especially a man that's played professional sports and has been in the spotlight since I was 18. I'm 45 now. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes even I got delusional on my lifestyle and the way I moved and the women that I had in and out of my life. So just kind of becoming more responsible for the decisions I make and just trying to be a better me every day.
Did you feel kind of entitled to your life?
I did. I felt like I worked so hard and I was someone who would always give the shirt off my back. I was someone who still to this day take care of 3 or 4 families and some homies. Like I feel like I worked so motherfucking hard, even in my second act, that I felt entitled to still move a certain way. And that was selfishness. Even though I'm busting my ass and I do make ends meet and I make a lot of people's lives better, that still doesn't, it doesn't allow me to do some of the dumb shit I do, to be honest with you.
Well, I feel you. I think sometimes it's hard also if you come from a traumatic place to I call it the werewolf, to like let the werewolf go.
Yeah.
Cuz that full moon come out.
Yeah, look out, howling. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And it was, I mean, I think that's a great point. And again, I think this is I wish that more athletes and entertainers and musicians can have this real type of conversation because I think we could help each other from our mistakes. But we live in such a crazy world now where we don't fight for our relationships or put the effort in our relationships that we put into the rest of our professions. You know what I mean? And I fell victim to that, and it was a huge, it was a huge mistake. So it's just like I think we could, lean on each other for this kind of information and these real kind of conversations, but I don't think everyone is ready to really kind of look. And for me, it took 45 years on this earth. You said 38, I'm 45. You know what I mean? To finally like, bro, you got to wake the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like I felt like because I was the protector and the provider that, okay, I checked the boxes. But there's so much more to emotional stability and love and respect and empathy and all the things that counseling I'm learning that came from my childhood. I came from two parents that were functioning drug addicts, abuse, violence, all kinds of shit. And I always said, like, damn, I made it out of that. I made it to the league. That's not going to hold me back. But now in my later days, I'm like, damn, that childhood trauma has a huge, huge influence on the way I put walls up, the way I'm not empathetic, the way I'm an asshole at times, the way I'll go silent at times. And I'm just like, nah, that shit is that's not cool no more. So
Well, also you don't want to pass that
to the kids.
generational curse on,
Facts.
and breaking generational curses is very
Tough.
very hard.
Yep.
And it requires a level of vulnerability. It requires you not practicing avoidance,
Yep.
which is a family trait of mine that is a favorite, which I try to work on as well. And it's tough because that's, for me, it's like when you're hardwired for chaos, it is so hard to unlearn the peace that chaos provides.
Well, I mean, I've been someone who's been comfortable in chaos my whole life. Like
It's in your
I'm
it truly is
fine
in your DNA. Like it's like if
screaming
things are
or yeah,
too good,
you
you
have.
gotta go turn the heat up.
I'll sabotage. It's funny. I've subconsciously sabotaged like this is too good. She's too good. This is like this can't. You know what I mean? It's just like that's such a toxic, but at the same time, if we're going back to the root cause of that, that's trauma. We've all had some sort of trauma. Some people grew up with two parents and it was good, but they faced some trauma. I grew up with, two parents that constantly fought, and my mom was trying to leave the whole time. And when she finally was ready to leave, she dies from cancer. You know what I mean? So it's just like everyone has their story and their journey. And I think that if we don't address the PTSD and the childhood trauma and the teenage trauma and just the daily, I mean, this world is fucking crazy.
Mhm.
Even if you had a perfect childhood growing up in this world, you're going to have some issues. So I just think the more we address it, the more we talk about it, the more we're not ashamed to admit we need help. I give a huge shout out to, the DeMar DeRozans and the Kevin Loves and the Paul Georges that have come out and said like, yo, I'm making a ton of money, but I'm fucked up. Like I need some help. I need someone to talk to. And I think that athletes are so inspirational and motivational and we're such leaders that when we open that door, it becomes the norm. And I really credit those guys, 4 or 5 years ago about talking about mental health because when we grew up, you were just crazy. That motherfucker's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you did not go
No.
on medication.
No, and
You
because
did not go to a
especially in the
therapist.
black community, it's a sign of
Yeah.
weakness. Like, I mean, stop fucking crying, toughen up. Then all the stuff that they said would make us a man, like now that we're men, it comes back and it's biting us in the ass because we swept it on the rug or we avoided it or we we compartmentalized it. So
Well, I think that was also, for survival. Like when
no
I
question.
think of my
No question.
parents and my grandparents and just people around me in my life and what they went through, and they didn't have access to mental health professionals. Even if they did, they wouldn't go. And it was almost like, if you even acknowledge that you're depressed, if you even acknowledge that you don't feel well, if you even acknowledge that you're sad, or you're sad for too long, or you cry as a man, like, it was partly because we did not value mental health or even think of mental health really, but it was also very much a survival. Like, you can't be soft or this world is going to eat you up, especially if you're trying to make something of yourself. The system is already designed for you to fail. If you're going to try and beat the system, you have to be incredibly mentally tough. And what they went through taught them that, and what the people that raised them went through taught them to do that, and they passed it on to us.
We did it.
Yeah.
And we did it, and it was funny. We talked. I had fuck's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Forgive me. We had a guest on. What is his name? Blame it on the weed, not my heart. But we got in a discussion where I talked about, like, I haven't cried in 30 years. You know what I mean?
You haven't cried in 30 years?
I didn't cry when my mom died. I didn't cry when I got divorced. I didn't cry when my children were born. I didn't cry when I got married. I didn't cry.
But did you feel?
I felt like I just wish that there was a way for me to kind of and just let it all, because I know a good cry is all I fucking need, but I haven't been able to cry. And I think it's because I've had to be the soldier and the rock for so long that it's just like it's in there, but I don't know how to tap into it.
I mean, by the way, I'm not judging. I hate crying in front of other people. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I despise crying in front of other people. I can.
One of those like snot nose, like. Are you like one
I
of
mean,
them?
I can be if it's like, if I need to cry, but I don't cry anywhere. Like, I don't think I cry as much as a normal person is supposed to cry. Like, I'll cry, once every 3 weeks or something, like in my home alone for like 3 minutes, and then pull it together. But
and I have a question: is that a release? Is that what does it do for you?
yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of a release, but it's more of like a stress release. Things that make me sad don't necessarily make me cry.
Okay.
So to me, it's like crying is a bit of a sign of weakness, which sounds crazy. Obviously, I'm a woman. Like, I don't like we're allowed to cry. But my thing is with crying, especially in front of other people, is I don't like the attention.
Yeah.
So like everyone's like, oh my God, what's wrong? And like you don't give a fuck what's wrong with me. Like most people, you just want to know what's happening. You just want the tea.
Yeah, you just want the dirt.
Yeah. So like that's why I don't like crying in front of
How
other
do
people.
I mean, you're someone who has established yourself in this space. You're a hot topic constantly. Mixed woman, very attractive. Like, how do you deal with everything that comes your way? Because I'm sure there's a lot of women that look up to you and see what you said when we started the show. I'm making motherfuckers mad on the internet, like how, and but I know a lot of, and there's been times where people have come for you, and I'll send you a little text like, man, like fuck that, like you know what I mean? So like just a little cheer up type. But how do you deal with that? Because I know it, like you put on a smile and work your ass off and do your shows, but I know mentally it's not easy all the time for you.
Well, I think one, it's always been important to me to remember where the feedback is coming from. And
the peanut gallery.
Yeah. And it's, I appreciate fans of the show. That's the reason why we have a job. I appreciate people supporting. But if I wouldn't ask for your advice, I am not going to listen to your criticism. Right. And that's just how I believe everyone should move, because you should not be taking input from people that are not coming from a place where input is positive. And even if it's constructive criticism should come from someone who knows you well enough to know that this bit of information will help you grow.
Let me challenge you with that, because I agree, not like, again, taking it as a grain of salt, but you still hear it. And you're
you
still
do.
human, and there's still some ill ass shit that people
Well, that's
say.
one part of it. The other part of it is you do have to turn off the phone. Like, you do have to step away and go to real life. And it's always important for me to touch base with people who are not like habitually online, because they
life.
remind you like this shit you can turn this shit off.
It's kind of fake. It's not like reality. I think people live and die by social media and think that shit is real life. And because at some point it is real life, but to your point, like there's a ton of people that don't even deal with this.
They don't know what the fuck is going on
They
online.
don't deal with this, and they deal with interaction face to face. It's weird.
They're working, they're creating, like they're not doing it.
I feel like this next generation, like my kids' generation, is weird because they communicate through text messaging. Like it's weird. Like I see it as a coach. Like sometimes like these kids have a hard time communicating because it's just like they don't communicate the way we used to communicate.
They don't
like
talk.
I didn't have a fucking cell phone until my junior year of college. You know what I mean? Like you had to just find. I didn't have no pager or nothing. I was in the wind, and it was such a carefree time where like you couldn't keep tabs. You didn't know what was going on. But I feel like electronics and the internet have kind of killed just the people's ability to communicate.
Yeah, I think it's a big problem in relationships. I'm worried for the youths because, you know, we are just better at not even just like communicating within relationships because, you know, I think we could all still work on that. But I fucking talk for a living and I can talk now.
Me too.
Like, yes, you too. So like
right.
if you can't communicate with other humans without Chat GPT telling you what to do, they got, Sam J told me they got Chat GPT writing text now.
That, and I read an article today where AI is turning against human command.
Well, that was inevitable.
But this is like we're in such a weird place right now, man. It's fucking insane. Like we're too smart for our own good.
Well, which makes us stupid. We have the access to the most amount of information ever, and we don't want to utilize it. But to fully answer your question, because of all of that, because we're, you know, not necessarily dealing with real people, there's all these bots. So like, is this even a real person that's trolling you?
Wait, bots can talk shit?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Bots do a lot of shit talking.
You can't smack a bot yet.
No. Soon we can.
Yeah.
I don't know how. We're gonna employ like anti shit talking bots to fight the shit talking bots.
Man.
I tap in with like the people close to me.
Mm-hmm.
I am somebody who's outside. Like I'm gonna go spend time with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go see my family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go touch grass. And more as I've been in the business since 2007, and more as like technology changes and, you know, my career has gone on. It's like, it's so important. It's funny. Like as you get older, you start seeing and saying the things that people who are older than you told you about. And you're like, whatever.
I'm getting old.
Yeah. And it's okay. I mean, it's a blessing to get old, obviously.
I'm getting wiser, I feel like.
Yeah, but that's what it is. Like, it's like everything is not as important as you think it is. Like the things that matter most have always been the things that matter most. The people that you love, the things that you enjoy, your health, and like
I think
your
you don't
purpose.
Realize that too, not to cut you off. I don't think you realize that until you start getting older, though.
Yeah,
like
you can't. There's no way to know that.
Like, it's so. I went out for the first time on the 4th of July in LA for the first time at night in like 8 years. You know what I mean? And it's just like the things that you prioritize in your 20s or in your 30s or even your late 30s or early 40s. Like as you continue to get older and you're blessed to see these different spins around the sun or the moon or however you take it, like it's just like you really start to focus on what the most, you know what I mean? Because I'm 45, I got more days behind me than I do ahead of me. You know what I mean? So you really start to look at it and kind of put that in perspective, like, don't mean nothing. That shit don't mean nothing. I don't need to do that. Like, I want to do this. Like, I need to be with my kids. This is my goal in my career. This is where I need to be spiritually. Like, all this shit really starts to, like, slap you in the face as you continue to, if you're lucky enough to get older. So that's why I say, like, I'm starting to get these motherfucking gray hairs all over the place. I'm like, God damn. But
are you going to let the gray go or are you going to dye it?
Go. It's weird because people think I dye my shit. Like, I haven't dyed nothing. Like, but I just don't get gray hairs in my head. I get them in my face. I get them in my chest a little bit. But I'm just like, I mean, my first get to see gray hairs. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it's a blessing to grow old, especially as a black man. It's a blessing to grow old. I think it's so funny, like the anti-aging rhetoric. Like, isn't the point to get older? If you're not getting older, you're no longer here. So yes, I would like to get old.
The only thing I'll say that I'm getting older, I've got on a little skin regimen now.
Yeah, you gotta do
because
that.
I have to be on TV, and I like to smoke a lot of weed. So
You gotta
I
do
know
that.
and I'm getting older, and I be in the sun golfing.
You got a
so I
good
got
esthetician? You getting the
the
facials?
eye creams and the face washes and the moisturizers and the fucking beef tallow and all this kind of shit. It's just like, hey, I'm not bullshitting. I want to say all of a sudden last year I woke up at some point like, damn, I got some fucking lines I don't like. I don't like this. Like, how do I get? So I was talking to my girl at the time. We're talking, oh, like, what do you do? What do you use? What do you do? I start looking at shit online. So like, that's the one thing that I've kind of got into because God willing, I'm gonna be on TV or
They got good facelifts now, Matt.
I don't know. I'm not doing none of that shit because that shit is like an upkeep, and there's a chance that it could really fuck you up and have you looking like a weirdo out here. So I'm gonna age gracefully. Like the only thing I'm really paying attention to now is kind of my skin routine.
Yeah, you got to do that. You got to do that. I got a great esthetician.
I need one. I need one of those ones that will get in your nose and really pop your shit where they need. Yeah.
Yeah, and she Skin by Sin. She's amazing.
Where's she at?
She's here in LA.
Does she do house calls?
She does. No, she's expensive. But
I'm tripping off that.
yeah, I also love her. Shout out to Cynthia. She's amazing. I also love her because she gives you like what you need for your skin, not just like sometimes you go to spas and they just use like whatever on you. Like she's not gonna give you the same shit that she gives me.
I just ordered some shit. I'll be on the internet burnt high at night when I can't sleep, and I just ordered some shit off Instagram that I saw Dana White use about reading like met this one dude that kind of helped transform him. And to your point, you just said like what you need. Like there's a test I need to take. The kit just came to kind of figure out like what kind of intakes and vitamins and food.
Oh yeah. I've been doing that for years.
I've always been the athlete to eat whatever the fuck I want and then work out hard for a month and get a six pack. But at 45, that shit don't work.
No.
So I need to kind of change that game plan a little bit.
No, it's important to. I mean, if you can do that, that like changed my life because because you're not just taking random vitamins. Like you need something for your body that I don't need. And then balancing yourself out with like we can't get that in the States with the food that we eat. Like other countries don't have to do that because they just eat food that they grow. We don't do that. So you do have to take all these like supplements to make up for what's not in the food because they're trying to kill us because we have a crackhead as a
I was thinking the other day, like
Department of Health
is bad for us.
Everything
is bad. Like, and they're continuing the processes from alcohol to food to cigarettes to.
Here's what I don't understand:
paint to
from
cars
the billionaires. Like, if they kill us all, who's gonna make them money?
I don't fucking know.
And if we can't make any money, who's gonna buy all the shit?
Who's gonna buy your products?
I don't get it. That's the most fascinating part of politics right now and what everything that's happening is like, I get rich people trying to get richer. That makes sense to me. I'm not saying that when I'm a billionaire, I'm going to behave that way, but I do get the mentality of rich people trying to get richer and trying to keep more of your money. But I've always followed the money, right? In any of these situations. If you're going to starve everybody and kill everyone off and then make sure that nobody can make any money, how are you going to make money?
You need to make money. I asked a billionaire one time, and I definitely won't say his name, but I said, can you make $1 billion clean? And he laughed at me and called me by my government, Matthew. No.
Of course not.
I'm like, damn.
Of course not. When I hit $1 billion, just know somebody got fucked over on the way there. There's the only way to do that.
Do they deserve it or not? But it's just
like the only way to do that.
We live in such a greed, and I get it. Like everyone, the goal is to make money, but also the goal is to enjoy it while you're here. And what was it, Steve Jobs, when he passed, like, I can't take this money with me. And he had all the money in the world, and that shit wiped him out. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I just think the world needs so much love right now. Like, we all need to hug and smoke weed and chill the fuck out. But it's just like, it's disheartening because every time I do look on social media, it's just like, I stopped watching the news a handful of years ago because every time I turn on the news, it's negativity. And now it's unfortunate. Every time you open any kind of app, it's just negativity. It's just like, fuck. People don't value life.
I do also feel like it is a lot of American society. Like, I travel a lot, and it's like traveling is one of my interests, like sports, talking shit, traveling. And
in that order.
Yeah, and wine. And traveling to me is a great education because you see things that are not controlled by what is like meant for you to see.
Right.
You experience people who have grown up completely different than you, that speak different languages than you. They have a different way of life working. Like when I just recently went to Tokyo, I just like I couldn't believe, I was like, we live like animals here. Like it's crazy. There's no dirt. There's no garbage. There's no garbage.
So clean.
Like children are safe to walk around the most populated city in the world, and people look out for them. They make sure that the kids are safe.
Mm-hmm.
They take care of their elders. Like, not saying that Japan is perfect. Every country has its things. There's lots of things that were red flags to me that I wouldn't have agreed with societally, but like, you don't have to live a certain way. You don't have to do things. And so much of our society as American society is like more, bigger food, bigger house, bigger car, bigger this, bigger butt, bigger woman, bigger things, like bigger job, bigger career.
Are BBLs gonna Are BBLs gonna die out? Or are those?
No, I think they're here to stay.
Are they?
Yeah, I think they're here to stay.
That's wild as fuck.
Yeah, I don't think we're going away from the BBLs.
Back to your point though.
Yeah, and when I travel, and I know I'm diseased by like the American greed machine. Like I think about it all the time. I'm like, could I just like live simple? Like, could I just live simple and be happy, be content, be happy, be fulfilled? Like, I don't know, because I've been wired so hard for this life that I could do that. But boy, sometimes I'll be like, man, y'all might not see me next week.
Yeah, I went to was it Senegal that has Gory Island where they had the first slaves?
Mm-hmm.
I went to Senegal.
I don't know if that's true or not. I was just
someone don't call. I went to Africa and I visited a few different cities, but I was just so fucking blown away, Joy, about how they don't like no phones, like the internet, like they just live life. And I went on a walk one time. I went on a walk and I was smoking. I couldn't smoke in the hotel. We were staying near this beach, and I just heard like this kind of noise, and I didn't know what the fuck it was. And the closer I got, it was like 2 a.m. And if I'm lying, I'm flying. There's probably 500 people like running in the sand at 2 a.m. Kids, parents, but like they were working out at 2 a.m. And I was just thinking like, yo, they're in the moment. They're living their lives. Like the internet doesn't matter. Like they're not controlled by it. Like they're just fucking living in their present. And I think to your point, like we're so wired we're wired to be greedy. We're wired to never be satisfied. And those qualities help you succeed in our society. But to your point, that'd be great. I always just think about like going off the grid, man. Like, can I ever get to a point where I can just go chill and be simple and basic? And I think I can, because I came from nothing. You know what I mean? And I've never been one that let money change me. Like people who know me. I've always been the same. But can we, as society, kind of live that? I don't think so.
I don't think we can in our society, but I do think one change that I'm working on is to appreciate the things that I've worked for and appreciate the space that I'm in and be present in the space that I'm in. Because especially when you're an aspirational person, it's so easy to focus on what's the next step, what's the next job, what's the next check, what's the next thing that we're doing. And you miss the moment that you're in.
I completely agree.
And I can think of so many spaces in my career where I'm like, man, not even just my career, like my life, like things I've missed or things I've sacrificed. And I'm like, it's not that I necessarily regret that, but I do want to
recognize it.
You know,
that's what I ask. I mean, when I talk to athletes on my show or just in general, like, have you had a chance to reflect on your career? If I'm talking to current athletes, like, we don't have time to. You know what I mean? Current athletes cannot reflect on the good, the bad, the ugly, the in between. You just can't. You know what I mean? So when do you finally have a chance to sit back and reflect and just enjoy your accomplishments? Go ahead and pat yourself on the back. If you have some money, be able to enjoy your money. And I just don't think we do that enough. And I think if we did it more, I don't think we'd be so uptight and stressed. And like one of my good friends just at 46 just had a fucking stroke and had to go in emergency brain surgery. I'm just like, damn, like you're that stressed. We're hamsters on a wheel constantly instead of kind of being present in the moment. So I agree with you on that. That's something I definitely work on too.
Yeah. Thanks for coming by. We really appreciate you blessing Too Personal with your presence. Make sure that everyone knows about All the Smoke, but make sure that you go and follow All the Smoke and check out Matt and Jack. They do an amazing job. Great interviews. I did an interview on there many years ago. Well, not many years ago. It was like
2 years ago? 3 years ago.
3 years ago. We need to run that back.
And we got some cool shit cooking up too, hopefully.
Yes. And Matt's also a board member of Project 68 that leverages influential platforms to amplify factual information for underrepresented people. Very active in the community, good friends, great podcaster, great dad.
Yeah, daddy duty. Yeah.
But thank you for stopping by, Matt.
No, thank you for having me. Congratulations on all this.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much to Matt for stopping by. Too personal. That was a great conversation. Loved that. And I love this question for Never Too Personal. If you want to be a part of the show, email twopersonalpodcast@gmail.com, or you can DM us at twopersonalshow. This one always gets everyone really riled up. But do extraterrestrials exist, and how do you feel about migrating to other planets or being integrated? Okay, first of all, there are absolutely aliens. This is not a conversation that I entertain with anyone. I believe my mother tried to have this conversation with me the other day, and I was like, I won't be doing this with you. There are definitely aliens. Like, I'm not going back and forth with you. The universe is more expansive than our brains can even compute. Like, I'm not going to get all Neil deGrasse Tyson on everybody, but like, there's a lot of planets and a lot of stars. There's a lot of shit going on outside of our galaxy, which is just one galaxy in the universe. You cannot tell me, and I refuse to listen to any conversation that establishes human beings as the only intelligent creatures in the universe. I think very highly of myself. I don't think that much. And I certainly don't think that much of human beings. We eat Tide Pods. We cannot be the only intelligent being in the universe. That's just not the case. Do I think that everyone looks like us? Every species has a form that we have? No, I don't. And I don't care about the religious background of like, we're the only ones. In some other universe, in some other galaxy, they're having the same conversation about us. Maybe they don't look like us. Maybe they don't breathe air. I don't know. But what I do know is we are not the only intelligent life in the entire universe. You cannot tell me that this ghetto-ass planet is the only planet that can sustain life. That is just silly. It's nonsense. I'm not doing it. Now, obviously, extraterrestrials exist. Second part of this question, migrating to other planets or being integrated, no thank you, won't be doing it. I am not a survivalist. I am not going to Mars. I'm not doing it. I do want to go to space. I do want the opportunity to go to space, which now if you're wealthy enough, obviously you can do. I have always been interested in space travel. I've always been interested in astronauts. Mae Jemison was like the coolest to me growing up. I was definitely like a nerd with all of that stuff. Rocks. I thought I wanted to be a paleontologist. Like, I was definitely way into wanting to be a scientist, and then realized I was not smart enough to be a scientist. But I can still go to space now. You don't have to be that. You can be Katy Perry and go to space. So I do want to go to space. I do not want to go live on Mars. I'm not interested. I don't want to be integrated with the alien community. I'm pretty sure they're avoiding us right now and letting us take care of ourselves so they can come and get all the natural resources from the planet. I certainly wouldn't stop by here if I was driving around the galaxy. But I will not be surviving the apocalypse. I will not be going to Mars. I will not be saving the human race. I'm going to tell you right now, if it's up to me on the last one, forget it. The humans have walked their path. We've contributed to the history of the universe, and that is where it's going to end. I will not be the one doing it. I like naps. I like being able to order noodles. I'm not doing it. So no to the second half of the question. Yes to the first half of the question. Argue with your mama. Loved that question. Make sure you send yours in to twopersonalpodcast@gmail.com. We also take voice notes as well, and send in your DMs to Too Personal Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you to Matt Barnes for stopping by. Make sure you hit subscribe, and we'll catch you next week.